Today at Manchester Theatres, I am here with the fabulously irrepressible writer, actor, and presenter, Denise Welch. Now, Denise has been in some cracking shows. We're talking Coronation Street, Waterloo Road, Hollyoaks, EastEnders, Soldier Soldier, Biker Grove, winning celebrity Big Brother, Dancing on Ice, and of course, a regular panelist on Loose Women. But theatre is Denise's first love, and she has also done some brilliant shows there. We're talking Calendar Girls, the musical, The Rise and Fall of Little Voice, Steel Magnolias, Diana, the musical. And now Denise is going to be coming back to Manchester to perform in the world premiere new play from Jim Cartwright alongside Matthew Kelly at the Hope Mill Theatre. It's going to be there from the 9th of Feb right through till the 9th of March. So come along and watch it. And thank you for coming and joining us today, Denise, to talk all about it.
Thank you. What a welcome. You've done your research. I'm very impressed. I've done all those things.
So before we get into the play, we have to point out that you are a patron at Hope Mill Theatre. So tell us how that came about and what it involves.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'd read an article years ago now about Joe and Will, who started the theatre. You know, they were two musical theatre actors who were a couple and thought that this is what they wanted to do. They found this old cotton mill in Ancoats in Manchester, and they started this theatre. And originally, and what they still do, to put on full-scale musical in a fringe-size theatre space. And I was just intrigued as to how they were going to do this. So I started going along. And the first thing I saw, I was just completely blown away by it. I grew up, well, as a sort of, young, when my career was in its infancy, with theatres like Live Theatre Company on the Quayside up in Newcastle, where I'm from. And that type of theatre where the audience are nearly on top of you, where the theatre space is versatile, it can be in a cross archway, or it can be, on both sides, it can be in the round. And so I just love that kind of theatre. And a theatre that also has community projects and gives back to the community. So I just became a huge fan and regular theatre goer. And I love the whole experience of it as well. It's you go along and you have your pizza from the pizza oven. And, it's just great. And so now, it's a highlight of our calendar when me and the girls, often me and the Corrie girls all go along there. And then it's always been a dream of mine to work there. So Jim Cartwright, who is one of my favorite contemporary playwrights. I did his play, Little Voice, at the Royal Exchange in 2004 that you mentioned. And then another play, The Ancient Secret of Youth at Bolton, probably about 9 years ago. And he said, would you like to do this play? Matthew Kelly's interested. And I just thought, wow. And I really had felt this year that, much as it's terrifying because it's a two-hander and it's very wordy and it's very Jim Cartwright and there's a lot to say and we're both getting on a bit, the two old timers. And but I obviously have been very fortunate to have been able to diversify in my career and to do some of those things that you've mentioned, the dancing on ices and all these type of things, being a panelist on Loose Women, presenting shows. But what I am is a theatre actress. And sometimes it's not to prove to other people that I do it. It's that I sometimes think I need to do that now. I need to work that muscle. I need to be in that environment. And it's just the perfect opportunity. And I can be at home because I live in Cheshire.
Yes.
So I can actually be at home for a few weeks. And because I don't really like, the older you get, the less you like working away from home.
Yeah.
I've been with my husband, you know what I mean? And also my eldest son, Matthew, who normally is away when I'm doing anything, he's actually going to be in Manchester. So I can't go to his gig, but he can come to my show.
Yay!
So both my kids can come. Well, all three of them. My stepson, Lewis, my younger son, Louis, who's an actor, lives in Manchester.
Yeah.
But, Matty will be able to come as well, which is great.
Fabulous. So tell us about the show then, with it being a new one. I don't know that much. So
No.
I know it's these two characters who haven't seen each other in 50 years.
Yeah.
A chance phone call reunites them. That's kind of all I know. So
that's kind of it. It's called The Gap, and the gap can be many things. It can be the gap between the 50 years. It can be the geographical gap between Manchester and London, Soho, where the play takes place. It can be a gap between, times and ages. It can also be the gap at the top of a stocking leg. That's all I'm going to say. It can be many, many things. But as you said, a phone call, it starts in modern day when they're talking to somebody like you, probably, or a reporter who has heard that what's happened, which obviously you won't hear at the end of the play. And so something has happened in their lives after this phone call. And it starts in modern day, and then it takes you on a journey back from when they went to the swinging 60s, when they ran away from home, and subsequently what then happens. And it's funny, and it's moving, and it's incredibly well. It's Jim Cartwright.
Yeah.
It's naturalistic, but it's poetry. It's got a rhythm to it. And Matthew and I predominantly play Walter and Corral, but we also play all the other parts as well.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's coming on to say that. It's just us.
You just need to keep nipping into the cafe and eating the cakes for the sugar at the Hotel. The best cakes ever.
No, the best cakes ever. Yeah, absolutely.
So what's Coral like then? Are you allowed to tell us anything about what she's like as a character?
Yeah, and she's very multidimensional as well, because you are seeing her in different sort of ages. She's had a life, shall we say.
Okay.
She likes the gentleman, and the gentleman like her. And her and Walter have this incredible relationship, which is never been a sexual relationship. They fight like cat and dog, but he's always looked out for her.
Yeah.
She has always needed him for protection. But then something happens, which means that they separate, and she goes off to live abroad, and they both pretend they don't care, but actually they're devastated. And so it's quite wonderful and odd, the reason why they come back together. But Coral she's a real kind of fashionista on a budget. She sees herself as she's seeking fame and fortune. And that's why they run away to the 60s, live their lives sort of from one bar to another. There's this speech which is all about, we went to the Colony Club and the French House and the Coach and Horses and the Flamingo and La Discotheque. They went to all of these places.
Yeah.
And it was real swinging London. But as I say, then it keeps going back to Manchester as well, where they were brought up in the shadow of the mills. Matthew Kelly is from Urmston originally.
So we've got adopted you. We've adopted you, and then we've got Matthew Kelly, who's local.
My adoptive home, yeah. So it's and it's lovely. And Matthew and I have talked about doing something for some time, and this is just the perfect piece. I think you absolutely, to do a two-hander like this, especially when you're knocking on a bit like we are, you have to have humor, and you have to have trust in each other. Yeah. And we have a wonderful relationship, and the director has got a bunch of people around who are so incredibly supportive and on our side, because it just wouldn't work unless we created that atmosphere. It's too much like hard work, and you'd be thinking, what am I doing it for? It's got to be a fun experience,
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that because obviously you're used to working with big casts and a lot of people around you, and it's a two-hander, and there's kind of like, I can see good and bad and like pros and cons. So you've got more time on stage, let's face it, which everybody
whenever we never leave the stage.
Wow. And then you get more time in rehearsals with the director, the fabulous Anthony Banks. Yeah. But then you've got a lot more to carry as well. Like you say, you're never off stage. So
there's a lot to carry. Yeah. It is a lot, and I'm not gonna pretend that I haven't woken up a couple of mornings and thought, what the have I done? What have I done? I could be in Los Angeles with me hubby, although he rang and said it's pouring with rain, so I'm not bothered. But I know how much I wanted to do this, and I know that, without it sounding so sort of like, oh, I feel it's my spirit. I feel in a rehearsal room doing this type of theatre with a playwright that I love and an actor that I love is where I am very fortunate to be. I get to do a lot of other things, but this is genuinely where my heart is.
Yeah. And with it being this premiere, this like brand new play that no one's done before, I guess yourself and Matthew are creating like a blueprint of this character that's going forward. So do you think obviously, because this will have an endless life. It's Jim Cartwright. Would you be intrigued to go and watch it in the future as well,
Yeah.
with different people doing
Yeah,
it?
I would. Yeah, I would. I would. I love it when you do a brand new play, because you know that when the play comes out in hard copy, it'll have original cast.
Yeah.
No, I love. I love that. And also, it's been scary, but an honor to have Jim in the room with us.
Wow.
All of last week he was in the room with us, and to see him smile at little moments gives you huge confidence, because that's how he saw the character.
Yeah.
And so we feel that we're on the right track. We've still got a lot of work to do, Karen, a lot, but we feel that we're on the right track to doing him proud.
Yeah. And I can just imagine these rehearsals. So I saw Matthew Kelly recently in Noises Off.
Oh, so did I.
Oh, belly laughed all the way through. I mean,
it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to be having, like you say, I know it's hard work, particularly when it's a two-hander, but you've got to be having so
Oh
much
God,
fun as
we
well.
laugh. There is plenty time. There is plenty time for laughter
Yeah.
and copious cups of coffee. Yes, we have a lot of tea breaks and comfort breaks. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Our bladders aren't what they used to be.
So I chatted with Joe Houston, the artistic director, probably about 9 months ago, and at the time he'd just posted a picture. I can't quite remember, but it was himself, Will, you, Matthew. I think Tracy Bennett was in it as well, who of course is another patron. But he wouldn't tell me what it was about at the time, and I'm now wondering if it was this. So has this been something that's been in the pipeline for quite a long time? Have you known about this for a while?
Really, not 9 months. Well, actually, maybe if maybe was about that
I
time.
think it was about March last year.
Well, maybe it was. I'd introduced. Jim had mentioned to me about this play that the kind of the hub of the gap had formed in his mind actually several years ago.
Right.
And he'd thought of it as a short film and as this and this. And so it had different sort of lives that just never quite sort of took off. He mentioned it to me. He mentioned Matthew Kelly's interest. And so my cousin has a cafe in Wilmslow called Smoke. And my second cousin, George. And so I got Jim to come, and I got Joe and Will, the artistic directors, to come and introduce them to see if that bond and that synergy was there. And then it all grew from that.
Fabulous.
And we all got together with Anthony Banks, who Jim had worked with before. And we did a reading at the Phoenix Theatre in London. And when we read it, we just said, we've got to do it. And that was it.
I love it. Oh, honestly, I cannot wait. If I may, I want to pull you away from the gap just for a short while, because now that I've got you, I have to tell you, Denise, that one of my favorite things that you've ever done was probably something that you might not be expecting me to say, but it was when you did Britain Get Singing with Loose Women, and you all sung Bridge Over Troubled Water. I still watch that performance now. I go on YouTube. I was speechless at the time. It was beautiful. It was poignant, and the timing of it and everything was just. I've not really got any questions. I just wanted to say thank you for being a part of that. It was amazing.
It was a wonderful thing to do, because it was an extension of ITV's Britain Get Talking for Britain Get Singing, and obviously as a sort of mental health advocate since my own issues many years ago. But the song that we chose, we asked Brenda Edwards if she was okay with the song choice, because she had not long lost Jamal, as you know, and how that woman has kept going she's unbelievable. But work is her savior. That is how she gets on with things. But we really, really, really rehearsed as much as we possibly could for that. It was so important for us to get that right, and to do it for Jamal as well. And we were really proud of ourselves. The winning was the icing on the cake. But this wonderful singing teacher, Ulrika, had worked with us over the weeks and given us these harmonies. And when I first heard the harmony, I thought, not in a million years will I be able to do that on television. And we did. And it was It was incredibly moving, and it's nice for you to comment on that.
It
Yeah,
was stunning. Honestly, it was stunning. So thank you. Genuinely, thank you for that.
thank you.
Right. Well, I suppose I best let you get back to rehearsals or get your cake or whatever it is that you need to do.
No, I'm trying to diet so that I can have cake when I go up there.
Yeah. Well, Hope
Yeah,
Mill's not the best place to diet, really.
it
They've
is.
got too
It
much
isn't.
nice food.
It isn't.
Thank you so,
Oh,
so
thank you
much for
so much,
joining
and
us.
I'll see you when you come along.
You will. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll be coming along. I'll come and say hello, and you can
perfect.
catch The Gap at the Hope Mill Theatre world premiere of a Jim Cartwright play from the 9th of February. We are so lucky. Hope Mill keep giving us these premieres. So thank you, Hope Mill. Thank you, Denise, and we cannot wait to see you. All the best.
See you soon. Thank you.